Let's try this again, shall we? Drivers focused here on the streets of the Action City with a new challenge emerging in front of them. It's time for round one of the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing qualifying series as drivers try to prove themselves as one of the fastest 33 in these open-wheel American INDYCAR machines. Hi folks, Arjuna Kekipata here and delighted to have your company at the start of this World Championship endeavor for iRacing's finest. It's been a while since drivers have had a major open-wheel championship to focus their attention on, and now with a new car and a new set of challenges emerging themselves in center focus. It's going to be a short but a fast and furious qualifying process for these drivers, as over the next 7 weeks they crisscross across of the United States and across of street circuits, road courses and ovals, challenged across of all of those disciplines. Next week we head to the racing capital of the world, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, before Barber a trip back to Indianapolis, albeit its Grand Prix configuration, over to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, Road America and Mid-Ohio. 7 fast and quick races for us to work our way through. You note those race lengths. They aren't very long races by any means. Next week when we go racing at the Speedway, it's a single pit stop, not much more. It's an interesting start of the journey as well when we think about the fact that here on the streets of the Action City, not really expecting too much in terms of passing. This might be a bit more of an attrition-heavy race, and therefore with 32 machines lined up for qualifying, which is underway right now, the presumptive assumption is that qualifying going to be very, very important. Times beginning to trickle their way on in. As it stands right now, Luke McEwen for the Apex Racing team currently sits on provisional pole position. We'll see a handful of other drivers try and establish themselves onto the board. I can tell you that Oscar Mang and Michele Costantini, Ricardo Rico, Sam Coitert, Marcos Nunez, Jaden Munoz, Florian Lebeeker, Diogo Pinto, Josh Thompson and Gustavo Ariel. Those drivers not on the board. Already 22 names on the left-hand side of the screen, and with the top 15 of them split by around a second. David Toth, he jumped his way forward up into 8th. Moreno Sarica in one of the Williams Esports entries, he's just gone 16th position, as Gustavo Ariel now jumps up into the 11th spot. Here's one though of the iRacing INDYCAR community. Phil Kraus, the number 29 in this race, is going to power his way to the line in the private label team hype with Powerslide Motorsports entry. 15th right now. Can he improve? Yes, jumps up into the top 10. Right, who else? 2 minutes and 40 seconds left to go. Here's Jaden Munoz in one of those Williams Esports entries. Diogo Pinto has just gone 25th. He still has a second lap to go as Tamas Shimon slides his way forward to 9th. Here comes Jaden Munoz to rock to the line. Texas native, and does the shuffle across the start-finish stripe with a 106.044 to jump to 16th. He'll get time though to go again. Important for him. Ricardo Rico, he's just crossed the line and jumped up into 6th position in one of the Drago Racing entries. It's a fast and a furious qualifying session. I'm not going to see Moreno Sarica improve as he exits out of that final corner. Marcos Nunez is only going to get one attempt here as he goes very wide out of the hairpin and sets himself up. Meanwhile, here's Diogo Pinto, former world champion in the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup, but right now 29th on the board. Here he comes to the line, and the improvement to 12th. It took a while to update. I think he'll be slightly disappointed. His teammate Florian Lebeeker has just demoted him to 13th by going up to 8th, and so Jaden Munoz gets a second bite at the apple here as we see him cross the line once more. 106.008. That should see him slide his way forward slightly. In fact, no, never mind. He's going to stay down there just on the outskirts of the top 20. Sam Coitert's just jumped his way forward to 19th. So one final driver left to put themselves onto the board. Everyone on the green compound Waiuli tires, it would seem. They will have to use 2 compounds of tires when we go racing over the course of the race distance. Nunez, 105.899 in that fiercely forward car. That's a good time. Jumps him to 14th, and with the pressure on, he delivers. And so now our field has its ordering for qualifying. And that's the first official qualifying session in the books. And so Luke McEwen, Jordan Caruso. It's going to be an Apex Racing team and Kawanda Esports front row, with Zach Campbell, Jose Soria, and then Oscar Pai, the rest of the top 5. And look at those margins. Peter Berryman and Florian Lebigra, identical lap times between them. And half a second covers 22 machines. Wow. Really, really fine margins up front. And now they've got their ordering for the 40 laps of racing that lie ahead. Here from the streets of Long Beach, ready to go racing. Let's take you down to the starting grid and see how they'll file out behind the pace car for the very first time in this INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing qualifying series. It's Luke McEwen and Jordan Caruso on the front row, and then Zach Campbell and Jose Soria on row 2. Oscar Pai, Ricardo Rico. It's Drago, Apex, and Kawanda locking out the front 3 rows before you get back to find Peter Berryman in the first of the red line cars and Florian Lebigra. So Muto, David Toth, Williams, and Drago round out your top 10 with Tamas Shimon and then Phil Kraus 11th and 12th positions. Diogo Pinto, Marcos Nunez, 13th and 14th on row 7, with Pablo Espez and Gustavo Ariel just behind them. Michael Gianni and Oscar Mangan, 17th and 18th, as Oscar Mangan throws on a little bit of Devlin DiFrancesco colours. Bobby Zelensky and Sam Koiter at 19th and 20th. It'll be Jaden Munoz and Michael Romanidis lining up on the 11th row of the grid, with Josh Thompson and then Michele Costantini. Half a second off. Costantini going to be very disappointed, you'd think, in that. Moreno Sarica, Elliot Veron, Daniel Ferguson, Lucas Prada, Nathan Moore, and Ivan Machado Perez. A handful of the World Sim Racing contingent just inside of the top 30, with Sam Michaels in the Movano Corsa, number 26, and Drago Racing's Nico Wierzbicki rounding out the 32 machines ready to rumble for the opening round of this qualifying series. Michael O'Brien says prep the flatbeds. Well, there's our Indy cars rolled out behind our Porsche safety car and getting ready to rumble. I mean, whenever you see the colors of Devlin DiFrancesco, maybe you do, if you're me at least, start to think, okay, there's the Lara R18 car parts that we can pick up out there. But I wonder for these drivers exactly what's going through their mind as they line up 2 by 2, 16 rows deep in this top split. And let's not forget, there's a couple of other splits rolling around as well, where points are very much up for grabs as well. Over the course of the season, those split numbers may reduce. We'll see some new faces here in top split. And at the end of this season, the top 33 points getters will qualify themselves for the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing Pro Championship. It's a long road, a winding road in many ways. Next week, we're just turning left at the Speedway. We'll make our way to the racing capital of the world, to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. And after that, a couple more road courses before we're back on the ovals, when we'll make our way to the Worldwide Technology Raceway. Trips to Barber, Mid-Ohio sprinkled in there as well. And one thing to get you clued up on with strategy, look at that left side of the screen. A couple of drivers electing to start on the primaries. Diogo Pinto, the first of those drivers, down in 13th. Gustavo Ariel, fellow Redline teammate Bobby Zelensky, Sam Koiter, also inside of the top 20, seemingly will do the same. But here we go, out of the hairpin. Pace car is going to peel off and away, and we're ready for the start of the journey. Here from the streets of the Action City, we've got 32 Dallara IR18s fired up side by side and on the push to pass. Here we go, the start of the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing qualifying series. Luke McEwen, Jordan Caruso at the front, stretch their legs, and 3 wide behind. Oh, as they head their way onto the brakes at the end of East Shoreline Drive, Peter Berryman slid down to 7th position and into the single file formation as they rumble out of the hairpin. Side by side for the likes of Phil Kraus as he tries to fend off the advance of Diogo Pinto on those primary compound of tires. And now, out of turn 5 onto West Shoreline Drive. My timing screen telling me the only Josh Thompson involved in an issue. He jumps back to pit lane on the flatbed. But onto East Seaside Way, out of turn 8. Luke McEwen's going to lead. His margin already up to 0.8 of a second. And you can see them behind, all just running in line. Caruso, Campbell, Soria, Rico. And then out of the hairpin, with lap 1 officially in the books and only 2 changes inside of the top 10. It's Rico to 5th, it's Tamas Shimon to 10th. And you can see behind, a little bit of that checkup as Diogo Pinto gets run into by Marcos Nunes in the fiercely forward car. Bobby Zelensky gets tangled up at the hairpin as well. And there's a couple of the machines missing front wings, including Zelensky, including Lucas Prado. Michele Costantini's down here as well. A long race still left ahead of us now. So it was just Josh Thompson and Bobby Zelensky that made their way back to pit lane on the start of the race. I think the RaceSpotTV replay can have relatively little to show us. And so here we go. Turn your attention to the big screen. And that's a clip from behind for Thompson, and then a second bit of contact. One more look at it as lap 2 about to come to a close in the live pictures. That's a Coanda machine, might be Bobby Zelensky, to be completely honest. And then you can see Thompson instantly pulls to the side, and indeed Zelensky already having lost the vast majority of the grip from this front end of his car. What happens out through the hairpin? Well, he's going to go out wide and just avoid blocking the path. He recognizes he's got to cut driver's right-hand side to enter pit lane. An early pit stop then for Zelensky, who is back out on track, albeit 18 seconds stationary to fix the car. McEwen 1.2 seconds clear up front and streaking away from Jordan Caruso. Zach Campbell, Coanda Esports' teammate to Caruso, sits behind. And then 2 Drago Racing cars. Great to see Jose Soria and Ricardo Rico running very, very strong at the start of this race. Oscar Pai, of course, the 3rd Coanda driver at the front of this field, running directly behind. The purple and orange have shown up in form today and shown up in numbers as well. And of course, for those that are following the qualifying series for the Porsche Tag Heuer Esports Super Cup for 2025, Coanda Esports and a couple of familiar names have returned to the qualifying fold. Going to be very interesting to see who else joins. The likes of Josh Rogers, Mitchell de Jong, Dane Warren, Elvis Rankin, a handful of those drivers heading out in that Porsche 911 Cup car. Of course, the likes of Caruso, Campbell, and even Oscar Pai already qualified for another season of the Super Cup if they wish to compete. Let's go back in the pack. Conga line extends all the way back to 21st position right now. And you look on the left side of the screen, you'll see those tire compound decisions. Remember, Diogo Pinto slightly driven over through the hairpin by Marcos Nunes. Hasn't really upset either of them too much as they still run 13th and 15th respectively. Unwind out of the hairpin. And that is that leading group. Michele Costantini sitting just behind. Now he is on the primary compound of tire. But a lot electing, at least at front, to use these Waiulis at the start. Marcos Nunes giving us that nose camera perspective down into turn 1. Look at him slide his way through this middle sector. Car looking under control even over the bounce. Or bounces, one should say. There's plenty of them around this track. On board with Peter Berryman. He's on the push to pass. Second time today. Burns a bit of fuel. 70 horsepower given to him. He's forced to the outside by Oscar Pai. And surely no move there. He'll try the crisscross. Can he now get to the inside through the hairpin? It's audacious, and the answer is no. Pai struggling a little bit as we ride on board now with Sotomuto, and he uses the push to pass to try and bridge a 1.4 second gap. Flying down East Shoreline Drive to turn 1 once again. Let's ride with Sotomuto, shouldn't we? Flick it through turn 1, run out wide, and then into the fountain. Got to be brave. Get as close to that wall as you dare. And then through a double right-hander. First one less bouncy than the second. Look how much of the curb all these drivers trying to use. And now down West Shoreline Drive, move the car over to the right. And yet another bumpy braking zone. Get the car wound down to slow it through the left. Bring the car back over to the left and cut as much of the track as you feel confident doing back onto EC Sideway. All the while, managing your in-car adjustments, the front and the rear anti-roll bar if you've got them connected. The Duracell logos positioned on the aero screen of this Dallara IR18. Always interesting to spot where Williams put those logos, and then look how much lock they need out of the hairpin to really get the car turned. Nice tidy lap there from Sotomuta. That was a 107.6. That's around 6/10 off, though, of what your race leader did last time by. And Luke McEwen really stretching his legs now. He's 1.8 seconds clear. Gustavo Ariel past his teammate Sam Coiter. These are the couple of machines starting on the primaries alongside Diogo Pinto. They've got Elliot Veyron and Michael Romanidis behind them. On board with Romanidis. That was a lot of curve from Elliot Veyron, the Frenchman. Here he comes. Once again bringing the car over to the left-hand side of the track. And Michael Romanidis, of course, is going to be competing for G2 Esports in the upcoming Prodigy 3 Championship Series, racing a Radical SR1. He was the 23rd pick of the Prodigy draft. He was not the only driver to be drafted, though. You go slightly up the road. Oh, that was a little maybe uncomfortable there for Romanidis behind his teammate, but you can find Gustavo Ariel, who was drafted 4th by Thibaut Courtois Racing. And so he's going to be racing for the Real Madrid goalkeepers racing team in the Prodigy 3 Championship. Should be a lot of fun. First round of the series heads to the Atlanta Motorsports Park on October 22nd. So for these drivers, they would be pulling double duty from the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains if they do qualify for this INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing Pro Series. Although the sims at the Atlanta Motorsports Park, not bad. I know Gustavo's already done one major esports championship from them. Whoa, that's close. Munoz and Nunez, wheel to wheel. And Oscar Mangan, the Irishman, tucked in behind and going, which way, boys, do you want to go? They're still alongside. This is great, close racing between the two. Nunez forced to give up to Munoz. And now they've lost 2.1 seconds to the back of Michael Johnny in 14th. On the button for Mangan. Can he jink to the inside? No, just a little bit too far behind. And he will, as one of the first cars before you get to the majority of the primary running cars, be looking in his rearview mirror just to see what sort of pace does Gustavo Ariel have underneath him right now. Meanwhile, back up front, Peter Berryman. Now a little bit more, you feel hurry to want to get the move done here on Oscar Pye. We know that Apex Racing Team machine is a rocket ship. Luke McEwen's now 2.2 seconds clear of Jordan Caruso up front. Wide entry there for Berryman. One of the previous champions in an open wheel machine. Peter Berryman now transitioning, of course, from the Dallara IR01, where we had the Force Dynamics and Turn Racing Grand Prix Championship Series. But he is 8 full seconds behind his teammate now. That is a big margin, uncomfortable margin. Word from pit lane was that Moreno Sorica dove down to the box and then trouble as he left, maybe just trying to stay out of the way of the oncoming traffic. Do note, though, that is not the easiest of merges. When we get to our pit stop point of the race, It's going to be interesting to see who exactly decides to go as long as possible and risk having cool primary tires, which are slightly harder in their nature, will be more difficult to warm up. How warm is the conditions, though? That's the question. Not much cloud cover, of course, to speak of. And now the battle starting to commence. Oh, Tower lighting up. Berryman, not the best of exits. Florian Lebiger already alongside. Down to turn one. Berryman going to be able to hold on. But with 10 laps complete, maybe the rear tire is starting to step out there on the 14. On board with Lebigra. That does not look like a happy car over the bumps, but clearly the quickest way around the track. They have made it work. Back on power. Turn it through turn 8. See the car pitch in. Good sign. So now as these drivers just continuing in this fight for what is very much 6th position, Jose Soria, I tell you what, he's on the back of Zach Campbell and putting the pressure on. Berryman uses yet another push to pass, this time though on offense. Can he make the move on Oscar Pye? Alongside into the braking zone, pass before they even finish. Releasing the brakes, sliding the car left. And now forward to 6th. So Florian Lebiger, Soto Muto, the next cars to be looking to try and make that move before you get to Tamas Shimon in that bright orange number 15. Michael Jarny's fighting with Phil Krause, who's lost a bit of his front wing. That's going to give him help. I was going to say healthy understeer, then I caught myself a couple of times because it's not healthy, it's unhealthy. Fundamentally. And Marcos Nunez is going to try and take advantage. He throws it up the inside. Oscar Mangan tries to follow. So does Gustavo Ariel. Oh, who's on his lid. And that is a terrible place to be stationary. Phil Krause has lost the rear wing on the car, basically. And down Seaside Way, chaos and drama. It all begun with Phil Krause losing that little bit of the front wing slightly earlier. The report is that he had been struggling with it for maybe a little bit longer than we had thought. Here's a look at the replay. So it's towards the hairpin. This is just coming towards the start of the lap where all the chaos unfolded. Oh, he runs into the back of another driver. And as Jose Soria in the live pictures goes forward to 3rd, it's clear that at this point, a couple of different cars starting to show their strengths and relative weaknesses. One more look at what happened here. Oscar Mangan up the inside. And I mean, Gustavo Ariel could do nothing. He was already in that one by the time he knew it. So they join Moreno Sorica, Bobby Zelensky, Josh Thompson and having issues today. Daniel Ferguson, not even taking to the start, has just jumped into the YouTube chat to let us know about some technical issues. Only 31 saw the green. As now on to the 14th lap of this race. More and more drivers on the button this time by. Florian Lebiger has made the move on Oscar Pye. Soto Muto next in line. Here that right foot at work, trying to keep the power down. It's going to be a very different sort of right foot work next week. I think Indianapolis Motor Speedway, when we do 66 laps of the traditional oval, you're going to be lifting early, trying to turn the car in before you get the face full of dirty air. Muto pokes to the outside. He'll crisscross on Oscar Pye. The fight for 8th position to the hairpin. Wide entry. The Soto Muto get on the button. Answer seemingly is yes. And Oscar Pye responds. Michael Johnny's bailed at the end of lap number 14. He comes down to pit lane. He's followed in by Michael Romanidis, and in as well for Elliot Veyron. So it is 3 Coanda Esports machines that all decide it is time to come down pit lane. Into the box, primary tires being thrown on. And off and away, very tidy pit stop there. 7.9 seconds for Veyron. Michael Johnny does have to have a front wing change. He's 13.9 seconds stationary. That's going to cost a bit of track position for the American, but relatively minor, you have to say. Now all about making use of that clean air. Does anyone decide to try and cover them off this time by? Not your race leader. Doesn't seem as though anyone before you get to Florian Lebigra, who's just past the commitment line effectively on the right-hand side. Nobody else follows them in. And here comes Muto. Makes the move on Oscar Pai with ease. Push to pass assisted. Oh, and then slides to the wall. I think that was a calculated slide more than anything. Right side of the car looking clean enough as back out of turn 5, Sota Muto unwinds. Daniel Ferguson reports strength of field 8,850 for this top split. I did see about 4 or 5 splits though. Be very curious what the second and third split SOFs would be. So is Ivan Machado Perez also now on pit lane. It's push to pass city for Veyron, Romanidis and Johnny. They are trying to take advantage of the clean air that they have right now. Ride with Michael Johnny on the bottom of your screen after his front wing change. I think we have another driver on pit lane. And this is interesting. It's Diogo Pinto that has come in to replace the primaries for the alternates. So while the trio of Coanda Esports machines felt like the primaries would do the 25 laps, Diogo Pinto saying, no, they'll do 15 for me. It's 5,400 apparently in split 2, the strength of field. 3,800 in split 3. Those are going to be very interesting numbers to track over the rest of this race. For qualifying, I should say. Oh, Diogo Pinto has had to do a lengthy change on the front wing. Maybe that's also why he has come down onto the box. Where's he emerge? Coanda Esports rumble through, and this is that side-by-side. Pinto gives them a wide berth. He'll have the tire advantage. And here comes a very interesting taker to pit lane. From 4th on the road, it's Zach Campbell in. Zach Campbell, who actually works with one of the real-world INDYCAR teams on the support side of things, works with their drivers in the sim to coach them through. Also now on race weekends, works with them as well. It's why he's taken a step back from some of his sim racing commitments, but good to see him trying to make a qualifying charge for the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing Pro Series. Here though are his teammates. Elliot Veyron out of the hairpin. Zach Campbell already going to release himself from the limiter. Oscar Pai, Marcos Nunez, Sam Coiter, they also made their way down pit lane. Now I don't think any of them at threat from Veyron. There's Nunez, excuse me. Sam Coiter is going to be just alongside of Romanidis, just alongside of Johnny. Surely contact between the two. And now Peter Berryman down pit lane. Excuse me, Jordan Caruso. All kicking off. Now he forgot to get the memo to upload his Coanda Esports livery, but that's okay. Ricardo Rico got the memo. Tamas Shimon is in as well. Now, Zach Campbell, where is he? Just leaving the hairpin. It was about identical on the actual pit stop from Caruso and Campbell in terms of a comparison. But as Sam Michaels passes Jordan Caruso, Zach Campbell passes Ricardo Rico on pit lane, exit. Relatively clean merges for the pair of them, but here comes your leader. Luke McEwen at the end of lap number 19. Jose Soria joins him, so does Peter Berryman. But Florian Labigra, so to Muto. They'll extend the stint. Is there a bit of an undercut potentially here at play? I don't think Luke McEwen's too concerned. Very tidy pit stop. 8 seconds and off and away for the Apex Racing number 3. There's Jose Soria, who's now released himself as well. Zach Campbell's leaving the hairpin. Jordan Caruso still yet to even get down towards the pit exit blend. There's Jose Soria. He might even jump Caruso here. He will. And that's Jose Soria now second on the road. Peter Berryman's jumped Zach Campbell as well. Oh, this is crazy. And now Diogo Pinto, move made on track. Sam Coytet fighting with Michael Johnny through turn 1. The Dutchman on the inside holds on to 20th. Right, we got a battle brewing. Florian Labigra and Soda Muto are down on pit lane. They'll be joined by David Toth, Jaden Munoz, Michele Costantini, Nathan Moore and Sam Michaels. Look at this, wheel to wheel in pit lane itself. Costantini going to be the only one to stay out there, it would seem. Remember, he started very deep in the field. There goes McEwen on the button and flying past. What's the blend going to be for Labigra? Qualified down in 8th. And now just waiting. Oh, this is painful for him. There's everyone into turn 1. Berryman and Campbell flying past us. Ricardo Rico now as well. So Labigra and Muto just inside of the top 10. Still waiting for those 2 drivers to come down pit lane. Behind them, where's the likes of Jaden Munoz funnel out alongside of a wiggling Elliot Veyron. One of the first to pit, and now with a bit of contact, Munoz has broken his car. Sam Coytet forces him into the wall through turn 4. No real blame to be fed there. Does Munoz somehow still have control? It would seem as though the demise of Munoz may be premature. Definitely not comfortable though by any means. Tyre still coming up to temperature. Tighter line out through turn 8. He'll hold on as Michael Romanidis now on the push to pass. Battles with Michael Johnny, the teammate. So Sam Michaels now down on the box. Leaves Michele Costantini as the only driver yet to pit. Luke McEwen has got an 8-second advantage between then Jose Soria and Jordan Caruso. 4 seconds back to Peter Berryman and Zach Campbell. With Rico Labigra, Muto, Pai and Tamas Shimon. The rest of the net top 10. So now halfway through. Most drivers on the primary compound of Tyre. It's Diogo Pinto the first, of course. That's on the ultimates. Right from the nose cone. You can hear the bang there. Or just the car sitting down and into one of the bumps. Don't get too scared. Not abnormal by any means. Remember, to finish first you must finish. We're at that point of the race where you're only looking forward, though. About 20 minutes or so left to rumble. Tamas Shimon, can he get the move done on Oscar Pai? Yes, easy as you'd like. Easy as pie, one would say. Here comes David Toth. Sam Coytet trying to make a move behind. Marcos Nunez gives up the position to David Toth. Sam Coytet gets past Elliot Veyron. Who said you can't pass here on the streets of Long Beach? Ride with Veyron. Again, remember, one of the first to come down to pit lane. And I guess in many ways, you're trying to talk about the story of the race. Yes, Elliot Veyron may be struggling now relative to those that pitted slightly later, but he qualified down in 26th. He's gained 10 positions in this race. All he's trying to do, remember, is get points on the board. And next week, who knows what that race is going to be like. Probably not going to use the same iRatings that these drivers have this week. Might have a slightly different SOF race. Here's Pinto. Portuguese driver looks to the inside. Traffic lets them pass as well. And Marcos Nunes gives up the position. This is a fight between alternate and primary compound tire. There is the comparison between the last 3 laps. You can see just faster every single lap for the alternate Waiuli compound tire, which is, again, the Waiuli compound of tire today. But when we go racing for our next road course race, which I believe takes us to the Barber Motorsports Park on August 1st, that will be the regular red sidewall. Waiuli is only used on the street circuits. And speaking of the Barber Motorsports Park, this coming Saturday, plenty of these drivers going to be out in force for the VCO INDYCAR Challenge powered by Open Wheels. And round 2 there, as Jaden Munoz uses the push to pass to make the move on Elliot Veyron. Yeah, the Alabama roller coaster, such a flowing track. Should be fun to see how these drivers use effectively the Saturday's race, not just as a competitive outing, but of course as a preparation sort of around. Nathan Moore, Oscar Mangan, they fight for 20th position. And meanwhile, I think we're going to get the final lap of the stint from Michele Costantini. He's done 25 full laps. He's on to the 26th lap here. Winds the Coanda Esports machine through the middle sector. Look how close to the wall he jinks. All it takes is one bad bump in that situation. You're in a world of trouble as well. Here comes that sight of traffic down East Seaside Way. And of course for Costantini, should be headed off to pit lane to re-establish the race lead in the hands of Luke McEwen. So here he comes through the hairpin. 26 good laps, and 26 laps of staying out of trouble. Michele Costantini becomes the final driver down on pit lane as Luke McEwen in the Apex Racing Team number 3 takes back the lead here from the streets of Long Beach. 14 laps to rumble for him. So Jose Soria going to now slide forward. Where does Costantini emerge? He's already dropped to 6th, make that 7th, make that 8th. I mean, we could have a running count, but it might be a bit cruel. There's the shot to turn 1. You can just about see Costantini emerging on the left-hand side. And after qualifying down outside of the top 20, there comes Marcos Nunes in the fiercely forward car. That's 14th position. Yes, Costantini behind, but he'll give us 14 of the best on that Waiuli compound of tire. 14 qualifying laps to come. And you'll keep an eye out on that charge. Meanwhile, Jordan Caruso struggling relatively here on the primary compound of tire relative to Peter Berryman. Look at the difference, lap on lap. That is a big, big swing. Costantini makes his swing, by the way, down the back straightaway, already up to 13th. He's 30 seconds off of your leader. There's no way he's catching Luke McEwen. But a top 10 is probably on the cards here. Definitely have to keep an eye on him. Similarly, Sam Coiter, he's also on those Waiulis, those green sidewalls. On board with the Dutchman. Hear him feather the throttle just a tad into turn 1. Oh, that was some understeer. As they pass the aquarium. Yeah, you definitely don't want to be in the water in this sort of a street circuit. You would have gone wrong. Very, very wrong. See some people questioning Long Beach status. Is this a great track? Is it not a great track? Jacob Oster says Long Beach is bad. I get the feeling his race in one of the other splits hasn't gone so well. Peter Berryman on the button. On the button, excuse me. Here he comes. After qualifying down in 7th spot, it's been a slow, methodical charge forward. And now onto the podium. It's two Apex machines, 1st and 3rd. Jose Soria, that Drago racing car, also having a very strong day. 11 laps to go at the line. I think Jordan Caruso increasingly going to have to start looking over the shoulder. Teammate Zach Campbell not far behind. Rico, Labigra, Sotomuto could be in for a difficult conclusion to the race. Tell you what, let's get a better perspective on whether this is a good track or not. Let's ride on board with Luke McEwen up front. Cross the line, get the lap underway, and we'll see everything from his perspective. Running down into that opening corner. Be careful how far to the right-hand side you slide on entry and then on exit through the fountain. That's a smooth car. It rotates from the front and the rear. And it's doing so in a balanced fashion. No unpredictable bounces, even there out of turn 5. You can see the hands just going neutral as the power goes down to the rear. But everything that Luke McEwen's doing with that car, you can just see how effortlessly it is. It pitches in one smooth motion. It rolls the power on in one smooth motion. And down East Seaside Way, making its way past the traffic. This turn 9 section, often between the two compound of tires, you can get a very different sense of the balance. Slightly less grippy, hard compound of tire, but as easy as you'd like. That's very, very, very tidy from your race leader. That's why he's up front. And meanwhile, Michele Costantini, Diogo Pinto, very different calls on the alternates. Of course, Diogo Pinto's been out there for 10 laps longer than Costantini in the Coanda Esports car. Costantini up to 12th. We ride on board with Pinto. We'll still be hoping to try and get past David Toth and Oscar Pye. Both now on the button. And David Toth has burned through all 10 of his push-to-passes. We've got 10 more laps to go. That's going to be painful for him. Costantini, may be aware, does not use the button. David Toth, frustrated, sits behind. As they accordion up, stack up through the fountain. It's been an intense race so far, hasn't it, for some? You can only imagine the sweat that's built up in their sim rigs. Here comes Costantini. Oh, that's a late lunge. Oh! David Toth sent into the wall. And Nim Cross will have a report post-race. Remember, iRacing stewarding system being slightly updated. The results here very much not final when the checkered flag is dropped. Maybe a bit over-optimistic there from Michele Costantini. We knew the car had grip. Didn't know it was magic. Here we go on the replay. And that right front suspension instantly broken. Yes, Oscar Pye is going to let his teammate Michele Costantini through. Not expecting Diogo Pinto to pass with such ease. But David Toth now returns to pit lane to see if he is able to re-emerge out onto track. Right, where's your leader? Past some traffic, running to the line. Luke McEwen makes it 8 laps to go. He's lapped up to 24th position so far today. See who else he's able to put laps on. Christopher Boone, where's the driver that dominated the Lionheart Racing Series? Well, between a couple, Adam Blocker and Phil Kraus, respectively. Now teammates, of course. Blocker now working trackside for Juncos Hollinger Racing. He is the race engineer for Agustin Canapino on that number 78 car in the NTT IndyCar Series. It's a little bit busy nowadays. Testing, racing, doing it all. Don't think we'll get to see too much of him. And of course his teammate Phil Kraus qualified in, what was it, 12th position? Didn't have the luck of the draw through the hairpin, got involved in an incident. He runs 7 laps down and 28th here in this top split. Now there is one drop week to be used over the course of the 7 rounds of the season. You don't necessarily want to be relying on that already here in round 1. And there is only one race each week. It is as simple as that. You deliver or you don't. Speaking of having a good day though, 14 spots now gained for Michele Costantini. Yeah, but not a great qualifying effort, but he's made the most of a bad situation. Elliot Veyron's plus 10. Coiter and Munoz, they're plus 6 as we watch a big defense from Oscar Pye. Did say he wasn't going to let Diogo Pinto pass with the same level of ease as Michele Costantini enjoyed. And Pinto really having to work for this one. What's that song? I've got to go find the lyrics. I want to make sure that this is a relevant theme. Oh boy. You had a bad day, the camera don't lie, you're coming back down and you really don't mind. All I'm going to say is Gustavo Ariel came down onto his lid, unfortunately. Kudos to him. He has emerged back out on track, albeit 10 laps down. That is the definition of a bad day, though. Phil Kraus's bad day, maybe a little less bad, given that he caused Gustavo Ariel to have the bad day. Anyway, I'm going off topic here. Very off topic. Here comes another look from Diogo Pinto, and this time Oscar Pye not using the push-to-pass in defense. Move made for 11th, Waiuli Tires forward for Pinto. Right, closing stages of this race. 5 to go at the line. It's about 5 cars stacked up behind Jordan Caruso now. Campbell, Rico, Libigra, Muto. And they're working their way through some traffic. If you are Coanda Esports and you know that Rico and Libigra sit behind, Muto on fresher primaries as well. Zach Campbell get the hurry on and get the message here over the wire to Jordan Caruso to let the move be made. And they do have push-to-passes in the bank. Not electing to use them, this time across the stripe. Meanwhile, your race leader up front. What a day. For Luke McEwen, this is the stuff of dreams to open up a qualifying series journey like this. In what will likely be one of the strongest fields and therefore paying out the most points. He's kept it out of trouble. Yeah, he hasn't led every lap by virtue of the pit stop strategy from Costantini, but he's led the majority. He crosses the line. 4 laps to go for your race leader. 4 of the finest, you assume. Still running very consistently up front. Meanwhile, Caruso Campbell off the final corner. And Caruso burning through one of his push-to-passes. Lauren Labigra doing so as well. None of them going to be close enough, though, to try and make a move. Oh, that's a great shot. Through the fountain section. Now, we didn't really get too much of a stack up through the fountain on the opening lap, but you know that meme? And where you just have chaos? Yeah, that is the camera angle. If we ever have a multi-car wreck at the fountain, cue the music. Just not with me singing it, please, because that was definitely not on tune. I'm sure we've got some other camera angles like that, to be fair. Let's see. This button says speed. Now, you see, if they crashed right there, that camera angle is perfect. Outside of that, it's maybe not the most useful, is it? That's not bad. That would be a good one down into turn 1. You know, cue the music. Stop singing it in your head. I'm not going to sing it for you this time. This is not bad for the hairpin. Is there a better one? Ooh, that's a better one. You know what? Ask and you shall receive. Who had their incident at the hairpin? It would have been Phil Krause, wasn't it? This is the advantage of being the producer. You have so much control. So let's go back in time and let's see what static camera shot we have of chaos down at the hairpin. Cue the music. No, that's disappointing. That's not as much chaos as you really need is the problem, is it? Maybe there's going to be a good static shot of this. No, that's just a car doing the flips. That's gratuitous at this point, Arjuna. Producer didn't need to show that. 2 laps to go, meanwhile, out on track. Fight for 4th really now has concertinaed up. I don't know if there's too much of a risk of passing at this stage. If anything, I think it's this battle where maybe there's a bit more to look at. We've got Koituk, Munoz, Veyron, Romaninas, Johnny. And there's push to passes to burn with some of these drivers. Middle sector for them, though, for what is the penultimate time. Your leader across the stripe. 1 more lap to go here from the streets of Long Beach for Luke McEwen. It's been one of those days for him. Stay out of trouble, and the checkered flag is his. You can tell Zach Campbell's not trying to make a move, because he's literally the only driver in this little queue not on the push to pass. He does have plenty of push to passes left in the tank as well. Just goes to show the strategy and how it's worked out with the teammates. That was Davin Toth leaving pit lane, by the way. He's 27, 6 laps down. Perseverance in this opening round from drivers wanting to make sure they maximize the points on offer. Couple more corners to go here for these drivers, but meanwhile up front, what a day for Luke McEwen and for the Corby crew. It's the Apex Racing team on top and in 3rd position as well in the opening round of the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing qualifying series from the streets of the Action City. Luke McEwen puts the rest of the field in his dust and in the rearview mirror to win by 12 full seconds over Jose Soria in the Drago Racing 32. Peter Berryman, it's an Apex 1 and 3 as he crosses the line up 4 positions. with Jordan Caruso, Zach Campbell, and then Ricardo Rico across the line and the chasing peloton behind. A great day for the Apex Racing team, a solid day for the likes of Team Redline, for Drago Racing, and for Coanda Esports, and even for the likes of Marcos Nunez as he comes across the line in 13th position. That second grouping of cars not really moving around. Elliot Veyron went 25 laps alongside Romanides and Johnny as one of the first drivers down on pit lane. The long stint call worked for them. Final drivers will come across the line, and we'll hope to have a chat to our respective drivers on the podium before wrapping up our coverage here from the opening round of this qualifying series. There is a delighted race winner, slowly but surely working his way back around to the line. We'll give him some time. Hope to have a chat with him when he finishes up things here. Right, well, with the race in the books, let's go ahead and grab a look at your provisional race results. And I do say provisional because we know there was a couple of moments of drama that Race Control will have a look at in the post-race review before things are made final. Ultimately, though, I think for the most part, not too much to really worry about. It was clean, it was cool, outside of those couple of little bits of drama that we did end up talking about. Luke McEwen and Peter Berryman make it an Apex 1 and 3 with Jose Soria sandwiched in the middle. Before Jordan Caruso, Zach Campbell, the first two Coanda Esports drivers, then around 24 seconds off of the race leader. Ricardo Rico 6th, with Florian Labigra 7th after climbing his way up through in that middle part of the race. Sotomuto, Tamas Shimon, and then Michele Costantini, who gained 14 positions, rounds out the top 10. Diogo Pinto 11th, Oscar Pai 12th, Marcos Nunez, Sam Koiter, Jalen Munoz, the top 15. Veyron, Romanides, Johnny 16th, 17th, and 18th. With Nathan Moore, the WSR Esports Buttkicker, number 21 down in 19th. Alongside Ivan Machado Perez, scored on the leading lap. As were Oscar Mangan, Nico Wisbicki, and Sam Michaels. Quiet day for some of those drivers, Lucas Prada and Pablo Espes, 1 lap down respectively. 3 laps down for Moreno Sarica, David Toth, Phil Kraus, Gustavo Ariel, and Bobby Zelensky. The rest of the drivers in the wall of trouble, unfortunately, alongside Josh Thompson, Daniel Ferguson not getting to see the green flag with technical issues before the race even got underway. So that's a look top to bottom at the race results. Don't think we're going to get a chat with the one and only Luke McEwen. See if we can grab a word maybe with Jose Soria, maybe Peter Berryman before we get our coverage wrapped up here for the opening round of this qualifying series. But we can look forward. Next time we go racing, from the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, racing capital of the world, and we will be on the oval. 66 laps of racing, basically 1 pit stop guaranteed. Question is, how will the maybe strategy play out either side of that? No idea what the weather conditions are going to end up looking like as well. That could be very, very crucial. And of course, knowing we got multiple splits here, that's also going to set something up quite interestingly. Next time out from the Speedway, will we see some maybe oval specialists rise to the forefront before we make our way back over to the road courses, the Barber Motorsports Park, for 39 laps of racing to kick off a busy month of August. 5 qualifying series races for these drivers to focus on, all alongside their other commitments and all their other racing that they do as well. I think we have Jose Soria standing by for a quick chat. Let's see if we can drag him into the broadcast booth. Jose, seemed like a fun race out there. The balance of the Drago Racing number 32 seemed great as well. Snuck your way into top split and managed to maximize the points. How are you feeling with the first round in the books?
Hello. Honestly, really grateful. After last week, when the race got cancelled, I was sure that this was going to be a big blow for me and my chances to qualify into the event, into the championship, because Long Beach is one of my best tracks. So, yeah, pretty grateful that we got to race, and really surprised as well that I managed to get P2 here.
It seemed like you had a really fast car because you were pulling away from, you know, the Koan esports drivers through a lot of that race as well. So great to see you get the performance at a track that you like. I've got to ask, rest of the season, we've got 2 ovals to come. We know you're fairly experienced at the Speedway. What's it going to be like for you when we go to the Worldwide Technology Raceway, though, as our one short oval on this qualifying series?
I think it's going to be really tough, not because of the oval itself or the track, but because of the setup. Here at Drago, we don't really have any experience, and we're going to have to learn everything from scratch. So it's going to be tough, but I hope that we can be able to get a good result.
And yeah, you know, you've linked up with the team at Drago Racing, and in many ways you're maybe the most experienced of their drivers in this Solara IR18. Tell us how it's been going behind the scenes, because, you know, Ricardo Rico ran pretty well. A couple of the other Drago drivers have done well in this car of late, so it's clear that you guys are slowly figuring it out.
Yeah, so, well, it's a long story, but funnily enough, just before the VTO qualifying for the Mid-Ohio pre-quali, I had never done a setup by myself, or even tried to. Like, I always just gave feedback to my teammates. So I had to kind of learn, because I was paired up with David Todd, who's also a great driver. Sadly, I think he got out in a crash this race. Yeah, I got paired up with David for the VTO pre-quali, and it was really tough. We didn't have any idea on how to make the car work, and just by, I guess lucky clicks, we managed to get a decent baseline, and we worked from then on, and yeah. It's a long story, to be honest.
I can tell the number of hours that went into some magic clicks there, Jose. It seems to have worked out nicely, though. We'll see you next week for round 2 of this qualifying series.
Thank you.
Great to catch up with Jose Soria. Don't think we'll get to catch up with the Corby crew. Maybe we'll get to do so for the rest of this qualifying series, because boy, the Apex Racing team made sure they're known as one of those teams to keep an eye on for the rest of this qualifying series. That will wrap up our coverage, though, from the streets of Long Beach. Round 1 of the INDYCAR Buttkicker iRacing qualifying series in the books. And what a performance from a handful of drivers who leave this crazy race with valuable points on the board. Handful of others, though, leave thinking what could have been and hoping for some better things at the Speedway, the racing capital of the world, 7 days from today. On behalf of our team at RaceSpotTV, thanks so much for joining us. My name's Arjuna Kankipati, signing off for now, and looking forward to seeing you from the Speedway next time out. It's Luke McEwen, it's the Apex Racing team, walking away from Long Beach on top.